you couldn't pay me to get married. Well, if you did pay me, you have to pay me a lot because marriage, I think, is a losing bet on average. The expected value of it is probably negative for a lot of people. I just think for me as a single guy who doesn't want to have kids, marriage makes zero sense. I don't think there's a rational argument that could, convince me to say, hey, you need to get married. There's like, I forget what his name is, this divorce lawyer who's popular on YouTube. I think his last name is Sexton. And he said something that really resonated with me, and that was like, what problem does marriage solve? Like, what is missing in my life where I need to bring in the government into my love life? Think about that. That's what marriage is. It's involving the government in your love life. Why? First off, marriage and divorce are both expensive. I don't know what the average cost of a wedding is, but I would guess it's at least 10, 20 grand in America. I've had friends spend way more than that, closer to 80 to 100. And that's just for a party. So a bunch of people can come drink and eat for free and celebrate you. I mean, it's like one day. That's literally, a huge down payment on a house or, a couple Honda Civics or a Tesla. But that's just crazy to spend on one day. I mean, if you're rich, I guess it's okay. But I'm not. And I think that's like just an exuberant amount to spend for one day of celebrating my love. But also, there's the honeymoon, but there's also, if you want to get a prenup, which if you decide to not take my advice and you want to get married, you need a prenup. And, that costs money. That costs probably thousands of dollars in lawyer's fees. Similarly, divorce costs a lot of money in lawyer's fees. I mean, I would guesstimate, around 10 grand. I've had a couple patients who were spending at least that and just trying to navigate that. It's also just the hidden cost or the implicated cost of what she's entitled to if you get divorced. Now, I'm obviously not a lawyer, but in my humble opinion, I think the court systems grossly overfavor women in divorce proceedings. I had a patient who, had another 20-something years to work before he retired, and he got divorced, and his wife's going to get half his pension down the road. Crazy! 20 years from now, because, she banged you for 20 years. Or not even 20 years. I don't know how long they're married, but like, why do you get that in 20 years? That's crazy. That pisses me off. There's also just getting half is crazy. And I think, women are incentivized, and to no fault of their own, because of the system, knowing they can walk away with half. It's actually lucrative for women to get divorced sometimes if they're not happy. And it also just raises their level of entitlement and obnoxiousness to a certain degree, knowing that, they have the leverage. I mean, before marriage, both partners are incentivized to, bring value to the relationship. And I know I'm going to piss some people off, but like, what if like she just gains like 100 pounds and she's just like, fuck it. I'm not going to work on myself. I don't give a shit. You can't leave me because I'll get half. And then you're just sitting there having sex with a whale for the rest of your life. I mean, like, versus, if you're not satisfied, you can just walk away. However, if once you get married, if one party knows they're likely to get half, if the marriage, ends, they're less incentivized. It's just human nature. Again, there's no fault to women. The system itself, is incentivizes this obnoxious behavior from women because they can get half. So what does that mean? I mean, they can like just, I don't know, kind of do what they want. They can, withdraw sex from the relationship. And, I've had plenty of patients who are just in these sexless marriages, for months, sometimes years. And, the guy is like, I can't leave because, I can't afford it. She would take half. And I would have to work another X amount of years. So you get put in this predicament where you're trapped. And one party knows they got you. And I'm not saying this is anything malicious. I'm sure there are some malicious women out there. But damn, dude, if I'm in a relationship and the girls stop having sex with me, I'm not gonna be in a relationship. But imagine that, if a girl stops sleeping with you and then there's nothing you can do, so you're just like, okay, we're gonna be roommates. Like, that would drive me insane. I never, I don't want to put myself in a position where I get fucked. The only place I want to get fucked is in the bedroom. But I mean, yeah, the courts, it's just like, imagine just being able to get a paycheck for life because you banged someone for 5 years. What? What? I mean, I'm not an expert in, divorce around the world, but I just think the American court system, or the American legal system is just kind of fucked. It's just like, the person suing McDonald's because they spilled hot coffee on themselves and the coffee was hot. Like, this is just crazy. But I digress. So you get divorced with lawyers' fees, with the psychological toll of losing your assets or knowing you would have to work for years on end. It's just, why would you put yourself in that spot? Why? Not only why would you put yourself in that spot, but why would you put yourself in a spot that statistically is a coin flip of working out? Like, hey, if it said, hey, do you want to just take your net worth and how about we flip a coin? And, heads, I get half, tails, you're good. Like, who's going to say yes to that? And that is the bet of marriage, because it has about a 50-50 chance of working out. And everyone thinks, oh, my partner's different, our love is strong, but people change. People change a lot. I mean, like, think back to who you were 10 years ago. You probably weren't the same person. If you are, that's probably a different problem. But I mean, it's normal for people to grow and change. That's another thing. Like, this idea that we are supposed to be with one person for the rest of our life, it just seems almost like Disney-esque fantasy that I don't really buy. If you look at the history of marriage, to the best of my knowledge, and feel free to challenge me on this or correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it started off as a property exchange. Like, families would want to merge assets or merge power or consolidate power, and it would be a transfer of wealth, so to speak. And it got rebranded to romantic love, I want to say maybe in the 1800s, late 1800s, early 1900s. So this notion of romantic love and marriage is somewhat new in the span of human history, if you will. And I will say, look, I think women have more societal pressure to get married. It's like a testament to their worth, so to speak. To guys to some degree too, but really, the pressure of marriage is just because of what people might think. Like, oh, they're not married, they must be weird. Or again, I think girls have more pressure in that regard, but it's just like, then you're doing it to appear normal, or to appear like, oh, I'm not a loser. I don't know if maybe that's a stretch, but look, I think love is a beautiful thing. Intimacy, connection. I think those are very important parts of the human experience. And I don't think they're related to the government at all. I don't need to go to court to sign a document to say I'm in love and our love is, ordained by the state of whatever. That's stupid to me. There's probably some incentives to do it if you have kids, maybe. I don't know the whole, I don't know all the details on that. Again, I don't want to have kids, so I'm just speaking for my own preference, and I think for men who don't want to have kids ever, I just don't think it makes any sense. Also, if I can just be, probably gonna sound like a pig, but like, I don't know. I'm thinking about like old school Will Ferrell. I'm probably dating myself, but he's like, I'm a little freaked out. I'm gonna have sex with one person for the rest of my life. And like, yeah, what if you just like get bored of having sex? I can't imagine having sex with one person for 20 years. I don't know, like, and again, that's probably why a good thing I'm not married. But the idea of not having any sexual variety for the rest of my life, that sounds, oh boy, that doesn't sound fun. I'm just imagining the comments like, oh, this fucking piece of shit. But yeah, I'm just being, for me, yeah, I think, why lock myself into a contract that the other party is incentivized to break, and I'm removing, or I'm deleveraging my my chips in the relationship. Look, I think there are great marriages out there. I'm not saying marriage can't work. I'm not saying you can't be happy if you're married. I mean, look, I have family members that are married, obviously, and they're happy. I think for me, it doesn't make sense. If you are insistent on getting married, I would hope you get a prenup to protect yourself as best you can. Like, marriage for men removes the power and the ability to walk away cleanly. That's the scariest part for me. I don't want to be stuck. And like that's what happens too if you get into a bad marriage for whatever the reason, however it's bad. You're kind of, well, you're not stuck, but it's tricky. Like I know people, I've had patients too, like thinking about like leaving the country so their wife couldn't get their assets and things like that. Like I don't want to deal with that. Like life can be hard and stressful enough. I don't need all these extra layers of complexity and problems in my relationship. Because I think, relationships can be challenging enough. Imagine like breakups are hard, but imagine like having a breakup and then having to navigate like protecting your assets, worried about losing everything. Like that's just unnecessary complexity I don't need in my life. And I think, yeah, boiling it down to like not having marriage simplifies things. I think that's one of the biggest benefits. It protects you and it simplifies things. If you want to walk away, you can walk away with all your money. And, it's not some long drawn out process. Think about like the divorce proceedings and mediations and back and forth. I've had patients, they can only communicate on a certain app and blah, blah, blah. And then there's like false accusation. It's just, I'm probably jaded because I've seen a lot of the worst of it, but damn, why am I going to put myself through that? So please be careful out there. Like genuinely speaking, like, it's concerning, and I'm not like a fear monger, but like, I think the whole idea of a guy getting involved in marriage is like very risky. And yeah, protect yourself.